Hey guys, it's April with Cricut-Crafting. I wanted to go over a few basics with you guys since the last plugin. We've had a couple of updates to Design Space 3. As most of you know, it's already out of beta. They are still working on it, bringing back some design features and adding some features, and I wanted to go over some of those with you guys today. So go ahead and get logged in. I'm going to go to a new project, and let's put in a image that we could probably print then cut. Could be anything. Let's just go with this guy here. It'll make me pay for that one. Let's go for, let's see. We'll just put this guy in there. How about that? Take that one out, and I'm going to insert an image, and then I'm also going to put in a card base. Let's see, we'll go here and let's make it 4.25 by 11. That's a good, whoops. We forgot to unlock it there. And this would be a lift up, what I call a lift up A2 card. And let's go and insert a score line. And I'm going to change that to white so we can see it. There we go. And rotate this 90 degrees. You guys can see how some of this works before we go over it. Going to align, center it, and it's not quite wide enough. Let's make it 4.25. And let's select that and center it again. And then I'm going to attach it. Okay, so let's go over some of the features, and some of them you just saw me use. This is your hamburger menu right here, these three lines, and this is the design menu. And this is your header. Of course, I haven't saved it, so it's going to say untitled. If I save, if I click on that, since it's a new project, I'm just going to say Design Space Tutorial here so that I can delete it later and save it. Once you save a project, in that header you will see that it tells you it's saved. Click on it, and then it gives you the name of what you've named it. If you make any changes whatsoever, you see that asterisk come up. That means it hasn't been saved. So I go back to the Save menu, and I can save as if I want to use this base for another card and not get rid of my little squirrel there. Otherwise, I would just click Save and stay on the same project. If you do a Save As, you are going to save a totally new project. And any changes that you had made in this project would disappear up until your last save point. Somebody had a question about that yesterday, and they kind of misunderstood. But if you have that asterisk in there, whatever changes I make from this point, if I do a Save As, it's going to save this project as all the changes made, and the other project will revert back to the last time that I saved it. Okay, and this is the canvas that we're working on here in this screen with your grid. Right here in this corner is a little box. It may be hard to see on your screen, but if you'll click on that, you can take some of those grid lines out or all of the grid lines out just by clicking on it. And you have a couple of options for those too. Again, this is your title of your project. These right here, the Make It, of course, would send us to the mat to make the project. Okay? And right here it would tell you exactly what you need for each mat that you did. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to hit Cancel down here at the bottom. And we're going to go over the rest of these menus. My projects, this will bring you up to all of the projects that you have saved in Design Space. All of them. I want to go back. I'm just going to hit my back button here so that I'm back on this screen while we go over everything. In the design menu, this button here, new, would take you to a new project. It would replace anything that you have on your screen here, but it will prompt you. It's going to ask, this project exists with unsaved changes. If I want to make changes to this project, if I don't want to make changes to this project and save it, I have to click save. If I don't care and I want to just get a whole new slate and start over, I can hit replace. I'm just going to cancel that. Here in the projects menu, if you click on that, it's going to take you to all the Make It Now projects. Let's see, and that's going to be in all categories. If you click on the categories button, you can see all of the different categories that you can search through, or you can search through just by scrolling one by one here. And you could click on one of those and go to Make It as well. Images, if you want to insert an image, which you saw me do with the little squirrel, he's down here somewhere, right here, you'll just click on it. It'll show you in this bottom bar. If you've clicked on 2 or 3 images, they will all appear down here. You can get rid of things that you changed your mind about, and when you've searched, you can search several things. Let's go with a bird. Say I wanted to put a bird in there with that. I could come in here and get one of those. It'll add it so you can do all of your searching at once and insert everything at one time. I'm going to get rid of those guys because we don't really need them. But that is where you find your images. And if you go back to images again, notice I had bird in there. It stays now. And it brought me right back to where I last searched. So if something didn't work, that bird didn't work, and I wanted to use this one, I don't have to keep searching and keep typing in. I can go back and get another image. That's a wonderful feature. I love that. And then you have your text. If you want to insert text, you click on the T, and then you'll get this add text here. And you'll just type. It's going to come in as the default Cricut Sans. And if you click on let me go back to where I was. If you click on the text, then this menu opens up where you can change your font by selecting another font. You can change the style, make it bold, regular, italic, all different things there. If I wanted a font that was writing, I can click on that. You see this in green. This is showing all the fonts. These are all the fonts that are on my system and in Cricut. If you just want a Cricut font, you would click on Cricut. If you just wanted to look through your system fonts, you would click on System. You can filter that out by telling it, I want a writing style, and click on Writing, and it's going to show you all of the styles that have writing, and then you can select one. A lot of people want to know, why is it only doing the outline of my letters? Because the font that they selected was not a writing font. It was a font that it's just going to do the outlines on. If I change this to clear the fonts, say I picked, let's see, I know Elizabeth does that. Let me pick the Elizabeth font to show you what I mean there. I have the Elizabeth font here, but see, if it's on writing, this is regular, and this is how it looks. We can bring that letter spacing in to where they touch, which is actually the way it should look. You want your letters to line up. Once you have them lined up, and you go and you change it to writing, and then it just shows you these outlines. That's exactly how it's going to write. It will not color those in, even though it will do the writing. The pen is only going to travel where the cut lines would be. So a true writing font, you want to change up here at the filter for writing only. And I had Elizabeth in there, so it will help retain the information for you. Again, it used to not do that, but now it does. And go to writing. And then it will show you everything that has a writing font only, so that when you select these, you're selecting with the writing font. Again, if you select one of these fat fonts, it's just going to change it and do the outlines. Well, this one won't. But like the Elizabeth, it has those spaces in between. Next, you have shapes. This is where you insert shapes like the square that I used to make the card base, and the score lines, and any other shape that you may want to cut. And then uploads. This is where you would upload your images. I've uploaded several images, as you can see here. You would click on upload, find the image where you saved it, as long as it's one of these file extensions it can be used, and then you would click on that and insert that image, and it would bring it right into Design Space for you. There we are. It comes in kind of large. He's a little bit of a big file. Let's get rid of the squirrel and we'll just go with this guy. How about that? And I can delete this other stuff. We don't need him. And there we go. And that is basically all there is in the design menu. Now, if you have a shape in there, let me put one of those back in there just so you can see. And you want to change this to a color. You double click on it or click on it, and then you just select the color that you would want that shape to be. Now, if you wanted, say, score lines for some reason, you can change these to just be a score line by clicking score up here. It will change that shape to a score line. So if you needed a place to make sure that you were stamping in, say, the right spot on a card, you could use your square or your circle or whatever to put a light score line in there so that you could stay in those lines on your card for stamping later. If you wanted, let me change that back to cut. If you wanted to change it to write, you could do that, but it's only going to write the outside line. So if you wanted to write a square there to stamp in, you could do that as well. And this is also where you could change it to print. Right now it would print just a red square for me, and it would cut out that red square only. If you wanted a pattern, you would click on patterns and then select that's an uploaded pattern. Let me go to one that isn't uploaded. Most of these are going to be there's one subscribed. Say I wanted to do that in camo, then I would click on that pattern. And if your image is really large, sometimes you'll see these lines in there where it's tiled. If you click on edit down here at the bottom, it will allow you to scale this so that you don't, there they are. I don't know if you saw those lines really quick when I was moving that. See those lines? How they're in there? You don't want that with your images, especially with pictures. You want them to be nice and fluid. You will just need to edit until you don't see those lines in there, so it removes those extras and gives it a seamless look. And then you would save it at that point. So this is where you scale, and you would move it horizontally or vertically until you got rid of those lines. Rotate it or flip it, depending on what you had. It won't do any good to flip a square because it's still going to look like a square flipped. But that is basically everything on shapes and everything in the design menu. Over here you have your layers. Each item that you have in here is going to be a layer. The score line is a layer. This image, because it's flattened, is one image. It is a layer. And then the card itself is a layer. So I have 3 layers in this canvas area right now. Let's see. Let me show you a couple of the other things for slicing. You can only slice one image at a time, and the image that you're slicing doesn't count as an image. This would be an image, and this would be an image. So I can select these two and come down here and slice. And now I've sliced this out of the square, and it works perfectly fine. I have a little piece down there where I had the tail of that. Let me get rid of that. Now, if I wanted to slice this out of the front of the card, so I had a peep-through window on my card, which this would be actually be the front, that would be the back. Then you would select, put your square on there and select it, and you see how slice is not available? That's because I have more than one image or layer here, because the score line is a layer and the card is a layer. But if I detach it over there, then bring this in, let me arrange and move that to the front. This is your arrange panel up here. Then I would be able to select the card and slice as available. And I could slice that right out of the middle of the card. Without moving it, arrange it, move it to the back, and then you just reattach your score line. But you cannot slice an image out of more than one layer at a time. If I wanted to, say, make this image and this image one image, I would select them both, come as long as they are touching, and select weld, and then it will turn this into one image. Then I would be able to slice both of these out of one other image if I wanted to. But if they're not welded together, then I have to slice them individually. If I wanted to, again, this is detach, and it changes to attach when you have something you can attach, and then you attach here. Flatten, if I wanted to print this square rather than, let's see, that's not a good example. Let me get an image and show you what flatten will do. Let's go with this one since it's just there. If I didn't want to cut all of these little individual pieces to put this wreath together, because those are some tiny pieces, sometimes it's just easier to print and cut it. So I would select that image and select flatten, and then it will make this one image. You saw all that disappeared and made it one image. If I change my mind, I can unflatten it. A thing to remember is you can flatten any image and print and cut, but you cannot print and cut something that's already flattened like this one. There is no unflatten option because it is a JPEG. I brought it in as a JPEG as a print and cut, and it's going to remain a print and cut. Now this one I did unflatten, but if you'll notice, it unflattened it and gave me all my layers, but now all my layers are going to print. So if I wanted them to go back to cut, I would have to go back over here and individually change each one of these layers back to cut, because it's still going to print them even though they're not flattened together. It would still print all of those layers. This one is hidden, but let's undo that and cut. And I'll show you that again. I can select this whole group. It's still grouped. I haven't ungrouped it, and I can flatten it. But if I unflatten it to where, say I changed my mind and wanted to cut it, I have to go in there and change all of these back to cut. I hope that made sense to you guys. Some of you that have been wondering, saying that I flattened it and now it won't cut, that's why. And then contour. Let's go and get maybe that same image. That image would work well. Contour. A lot of people are asking, what is contour and how does it work? Maybe that one won't. Let's see if it will. Let me flatten it. Now is contour available? No. How about this one? No. Okay, maybe it'll work here. Let me detach that and click here. Yes. Okay, you see where I sliced out here? If I changed my mind and I did not want this to cut out of there, instead of having to weld a piece back in, I can select this, click on contour, and notice how it opened this up. If I click this square, then only the triangle will cut. It won't cut my base even though it's there. I click on it again and bring it back. But if I click this diamond that I put in there, notice when I come back to the card, it's gone. It's not showing. So it will not cut out of there. And then I can have two card bases in one file. It works for several things. It won't work on this image, but if you brought an image in that had holes cut in it, or let me see if I can find one that, that I clicked text, didn't I? That wreath should have worked with the center, but it didn't. Maybe this one will. Let me bring that in and ungroup. And there we go. This wreath, say I wanted that O filled in because I was going to put something in there and it wouldn't matter. It didn't have to cut anyway. I could go to contour and it's going to allow me to contour out some of the red dots if I don't want those there, or that center, and then I can close that and you notice how they vanished. So that layer will cut like that rather than the way that it was. And that's what contour can do for you. And you will find on occasion that will come in very handy on some of your projects. And last, let's see, let's go over the menu up here before we send this to the map. Of course, you have your undo button, your redo button. So if I accidentally deleted this guy and I needed him, I could undo and bring him back, or I could say, no, I don't need him. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Select all. That selects everything on your mat. You can edit by cut, copy, and paste here. So if you had something that you wanted to paste or whatever, let's see. Let me just select this guy, edit, and copy. And then I can either right-click. No, I can't right-click and paste anymore. Edit, paste. Now I have two. We used to be able to right-click and paste, but I think they've taken that out of there for us now, since we're not in Flash. But that's how you would do that in this edit panel here. Next, you have Align. Align, you can see, is grayed out. It won't highlight unless you have more than one object selected. So if I wanted to align that to the left, I would click Align Left. In Arrange, I need to move it to the front so you guys can see it. And you can see it put it all the way to the left of my card. And I really don't want him there. I'd rather have him down at the front bottom. So let's just click Arrange, click on him, click the card, Arrange, Align, move it to the bottom, and then Align, center it horizontally, and it's going to put it right there in the middle. So now you can see that he is in there. Let me arrange it and move that to the back and get my score line back and attach it from where we were playing. Arrange moves your object to the front or back. I'm just going to move it backward. I only have one image, so it's very easy to move backwards. If I had 10 layers, it may look sometimes when you arrange and say move backward that it's not doing anything, but if you've got 10 things on the screen, it's only moving back one layer at a time, and it may appear it's doing nothing, but it is moving backwards or forwards. It works both ways. If I wanted to flip that image, this is where I do that, to flip it vertical or to flip it horizontally. If I wanted him to tilt the other way, that's where you do that. Sizing, of course, you can do that with these handles here. You can also do it by typing in your size here. As long as you keep it locked, proportions will remain the same. If you unlock it and you change this to, say, 6 inches, then your proportions are not going to stay the same. Okay, let me undo that because I do want him to stay the same because he's really cute. Rotate. If I wanted to rotate him 90 degrees, say my project was going that way, or I was going to rotate my card 90 degrees as well, then that comes in handy. So we'll upright him again by putting 0, and then you can resize it to go on the card at a different angle or a different way. The position button, let me select my card and say 1, and 1. And if you notice, the card is moving to the 1, 1 position on the grid. This makes it easy. Someone asked, how do I do I need my score lines to be at 2, 4, and 8 inches. This is how you would do that. You can put it on 0, 0, but it's a whole lot easier because you can't see your handles if you put it at 0, 0. You'll lose these up here. So you would insert your shape, which would be your score line, and you wanted it to be the same width as your card, so you would change it to 4.25 to make it the same length in the size area here. Now it's the same size as the card, and I want it to be at the 2-inch position on this card, so I will move it to the 3-inch position and the 1-inch position. So that's going to align it up at the 1 inch at the top. It's going to align it actually at the 2-inch because we're going to deduct this. You can't forget about this inch here. So it's actually 2 inches into the card. And if she needed another one at 4 inches, you would just duplicate it and move it to the 5-inch mark, which would actually be 4 inches on the card. And then at 1 inch would bring it back to the top and align it perfectly. And that's how you would add your score lines and then attach them to your card so that you would get those folds. And I'm just going to leave them there. It's not a big deal. Let me move that back to the back. And that's how your position works. That's just about it for Design Space, except Make It. So let's click on Make It now that we have our design. And I am cutting him separately. And if you notice our new registration marks, they go completely around the print and cut. No more little 3-corner things. So this is the way that it's going to do. You can apply more images. The new print and cut area is 6.75 by 9.5. They have given us more space. We asked for it, they gave it to us. In order to do this, you would hit continue, and then you're going to see here, I've already printed it. Say you printed this project, something came up, you couldn't get to it for a couple of days, you can click I've already printed and skip the other steps. Or you would want to click on send it to your printer and select your printer and send that. How many copies? You want to leave the bleed on. That bleed is going to allow you to not have a white area around your object once it's been cut. You would want to select your material, which mine is set to cardstock, and then we have these tools. They're reminders. We needed reminders. We were putting it on our machine, everything. Did you, what do you call it? Flip it for, mirror it for iron on, etc. They are giving us some reminders. If you need to choose a deep cut blade for whatever reason, they've given it to you where you can select all of that there. Everything you're going to need for this mat is here. And then you would press go. They have moved cancel down to the bottom. And I'm going to say yes, I'm going to cancel that cut because I want to show you something else under the Make It. And I'm going to go to the mat here. This is our mat, so let's hit continue. And it's going to select the device. If you have more than one device, you may have to select your machine. And if you'll look, I've got this on, let me go to custom, I believe is where that works. When you put it on custom, you get to select from here your material. You can also go to categories. So if it's a cardstock, you can come in here and go to categories and look at the cardstock. This is a craft cardstock that I've put in here, or that they may have put in there. I don't know if it's theirs or mine. But all of the Cricut materials will have a C next to them. Other fabrics and things like that that don't have a C are not Cricut materials. You can see the printable fabric here with a C. That is a Cricut brand. So you have several options available to you. They've given us some really cool tools with this. So let's go with glitter iron. No. Yeah, the glitter iron-on's good. So right here, if you notice, after I selected the iron-on, now I have a pressure. I can do more pressure, you leave it at the default pressure, or give it less pressure. Love that feature. So you can do that right from here. It also tells me that I'm going to need my scoring tool, my fine point blade, and then it's going to tell me to load the mat. So it tells you everything that you need, how to install your blade, everything, and then you just press go. So that covers the basics for the new Design Space 3. The canvas is supposed to be coming back. We don't have a release date yet or when it's going to be back, but it is coming back. I know a lot of you guys are fans of that and want it back quickly. So hopefully in the next plugin update it'll be there. If not, maybe in the one after that. So let's just keep hoping and keep getting your plugin updates as the machine asks you to. Make sure that when you go to get those plugins, to save yourself some time and trouble, down here by your clock, I believe it's at the top right with the Mac, you'll see these Cricut bridges. You'll want to go in and click exit and close all of those, and then reopen your Design Space and let it do those plugins. Thanks for watching. You guys have a wonderful crafting day. Please give me a thumbs up, like the video, and if you're not a member of the Facebook group, please come on over and join us. All the links are down below. Just click on the more in the description, and keep crafting. Make something beautiful today. Have a great day.